The galaxy had seen many wars, many invasions, and many empires fall. But it had never seen anything like this, humans leaving in complete silence. There were no explosions in the sky. No fleets fighting above planets. No screams, no protests, no violence. Only the soft sound of engines humming like a whisper as the last human ships rose from the surface of their former worlds. Millions of aliens stood quietly on space station view decks, on mountain tops, and inside city towers watching the humans depart. They expected anger. They expected a final threat. They expected humans to shout back at the galaxy that pushed them away. But humans said nothing. They simply left. The Galactic Council had spent years telling everyone that humans were a problem. Humans are too emotional, they said. Humans are too unpredictable. Humans should not be trusted. At first, many alien species believed it. But now, as they watched the silent human ships disappear into the sky, many of them felt something they could not explain. They felt wrong. Humans had helped build half the galaxy's systems, but the Council still accused them of being troublemakers. Blamed them for crimes they did not commit. Passed laws that forced them out of trade routes, cities, even some planets where humans had lived for generations. Humans could have fought back. They had fleets. They had courage. They had the will. But instead they simply gave one final message. If you no longer want us here, we will go. One short sentence. One quiet goodbye. One decision that would change the galaxy forever. When the last ship left orbit, Commander Aeroleth Cross, a Lathran alien with silver scales, stared at the empty space where the human fleet had been. He felt a cold knot in his chest. Something about this did not feel like victory. It felt like a warning. As the human ships vanished into faster-than-light travel, a strange silence spread across the galaxy. Not a peaceful silence. Not the silence after a battle. This silence felt wrong. On the planet Veshtar Prime, Merchant Kivloran noticed his communication screens flickering. Strange, humans operated this system, he muttered. Without them, the machines struggled to stay active. On the station Helios 9, a group of alien engineers tried to restart a failing reactor. The humans maintained this reactor for decades, one said. We never learned their method. On the trade moon Calaris, supplies began to run short within hours. Human traders had kept the markets balanced. Now everything started to fall apart. It was as if the galaxy had lost the invisible hands that kept it running. But this was only the beginning. 3 days after the human exile, strange things began to happen, things no one could explain. A powerful starship belonging to the Titanese Empire suddenly crashed after its navigation AI glitched. The AI had been designed by humans. The Interworld Peace Network, built by human diplomats, collapsed completely. Talks between alien species turned hostile within hours. Medical stations reported shortages of human-designed treatments. Some alien species depended on these medicines for survival and now scrambled desperately for replacements. Every problem had the same cause. Humans were gone. On the fourth day, the Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. Representatives from dozens of species filled the great circular chamber. They argued loudly, blaming each other for the growing chaos. Only one voice remained calm. Elder Vornash, a being made of shimmering crystal energy, spoke slowly. The humans left quietly, he said. But their absence is loud. The chamber fell silent. Are we sure, Vornash continued, that forcing them to leave was the right choice? No one answered. In truth, many already doubted the council's decision. Some felt guilty. Others felt fear. And many wondered what humans would do next. On the abandoned human colony world of Etris 4, a small alien patrol walked into a silent town. Doors were left open. Houses were empty. Lights still flickered inside buildings as if humans had left only minutes ago. A patrol officer touched a child's toy lying on the ground. It still held warmth from a human hand. They didn't take anything, he whispered. They just left. And they left fast, another said quietly. The feeling of unease grew stronger. Why had humans walked away so easily? Why did they not protest? Why did they not fight back? What were they planning? Far beyond known space, where the galaxy's maps ended and darkness began, the human fleet traveled quietly. Thousands of ships moved together like a migrating storm. Inside the flagship Aurora's Hope, Captain Lyra Havel stood before a hologram of the galaxy they just abandoned. Her voice was steady, but her eyes held something sharp. They did not want us, she said softly. So now they will feel what life is like without us. Her second officer looked uneasy. Do you think they will call us back? Lyra smiled faintly. They will beg. But for now, humans moved into the unknown, leaving behind a galaxy that was only beginning to understand the truth. Humans were never the weak ones. They were the glue that held everything together. And without them, the galaxy was already falling apart. The galaxy had always been loud. Ships roared through space lanes, markets were full of noise, political debates echoed across star systems. But in the weeks before the human exile, the noise had slowly turned into whispers, dangerous whispers. It started with small accusations. A human diplomat was blamed for a failed treaty. A human engineer was blamed for a reactor malfunction. A human trader was blamed for price wars on a distant moon. None of these claims were ever proven. Most were lies. But the lies spread fast. The Galactic Council, under pressure from certain powerful species, began to push a new idea. Humans are the cause of our instability. At first, the idea felt strange even to the Council members themselves. Humans had helped build peace after the Great Rim Wars. Humans had stood beside the Council during the Dranic invasions. Humans had sacrificed millions to protect worlds that were not even their own. But lies have power. And fear spreads faster than truth. One of the Council's strongest voices was Chancellor Varkos, a tall, insect-like creature from the Hrantic Dominion. He stood in front of the Council assembly and raised his forearms dramatically as he spoke. Humans do not follow rules, he declared. They act on emotion. They cause chaos. They must be controlled. A few alien species nodded. They had always felt uneasy about humans, too passionate, too creative, too unpredictable. But others disagreed. The Lathran representative, Commander Araleth Cross, stood and responded calmly. Every species has emotions. Humans have defended us many times. They have done far more good than harm. Chancellor Varkos hissed. Maybe, or maybe they only pretend to help. Suspicion grew like a spreading shadow. And then came the final spark. A powerful data virus, known as the Black Echo, struck several major systems. Energy grids crashed. Navigation networks shut down. Thousands died. The Hrantic Dominion immediately blamed humans. They created this virus. They want control. But the accusation was false. Human cybersecurity teams were the ones trying to stop the virus, not spread it. In fact, they were the only ones who understood how to track it. But no one wanted to listen to reason. The fear was too strong. The Council voted, barely, to begin restrictions on humans. Trade rights removed. Border access limited. Human ships searched without cause. Human colonies taxed heavily. Humans protested peacefully, but their calm voices were drowned out by political noise. More and more species began to blame humans for every problem they had. Even small disagreements between merchants were twisted into anti-human stories. If a machine failed, a human probably damaged it. If a deal fell through, a human ruined it. If two empires argued, humans whispered lies. This was how the foundation of exile was built, not on truth but on fear, jealousy, and lies. Meanwhile, on Earth and human colonies, families worried about what would happen next. Human Council members tried to defend their people, but their voices were ignored. Humans were slowly being pushed into a corner. And humans knew one thing clearly. When a corner becomes too small, leaving is better than fighting. Captain Lyra Havel, leader of the Human Coalition fleet, held meetings with human diplomats, engineers, and scientists. We cannot win this with force, she said softly. If we fight, they will say we are dangerous. If we try to prove our innocence, they will not listen. So what do we do? Her second officer asked. Lyra's answer surprised everyone. We leave. Many stared at her in shock. Leave the galaxy? Abandon our homes? Stop helping them? Lyra nodded slowly. Yes. At first, her plan sounded like surrender. But gradually, humans understood what she meant. If the galaxy believed humans were a burden, then let them see what life was like without humans. Let them feel the emptiness. Let them feel the missing hands that kept the galaxy working. Let them feel the absence. Across human worlds, evacuation orders began quietly. Families packed only essentials. Engineers shut down systems they once maintained. Diplomats left their offices. Traders closed their markets. But humans did not leave a mess behind. They cleaned their cities. They fixed their machines. They turned off their lights gently. Humans left their worlds better than they found them. This confused many alien observers. The Council expected loud protests. They expected riots. They expected human anger. Instead, humans walked away silently. Commander Araleth Cross watched ships leaving the human colony of Solaris Reach. His chest tightened. This is wrong, he whispered. This is not justice. His aide asked, should we stop them? Cross shook his head. No. They have made their choice. The frantic Dominion cheered at the exile. They believed this was victory. Other species remained silent, unsure if what they were witnessing was right. And then the day came. The official exile order. Humans are no longer welcome in council space, the declaration read. A shameful moment in galactic history. But humans did not shout. They did not fight. They did not beg. They bowed their heads, and departed like a fading storm. For the galaxy it was a political event. For humans it was heartbreak. For the future, it was the beginning of something far larger. Because the galaxy believed humans were weak. But humans knew something the galaxy did not. Silence can be the loudest weapon. When the last human ship vanished into the deep darkness of space, the galaxy waited for something to happen. Some expected celebration. Some expected peace. Some expected life to continue just as before. But nothing continued. And nothing felt normal. It started slowly. A communication tower on the planet Threx, 2 began to malfunction. The alien engineers tried to repair it, but the tower used a special system that only human technicians understood. Without humans, the tower shut down completely, cutting thousands of people from interplanetary communication. The next day, a medical center on Zorak V lost power to one of its human-designed healing pods. The alien doctors tried to restart it, but the interface was too complex. The patient inside nearly died before emergency teams found a manual bypass. Then a large cargo station reported that its navigation software crashed. The software had been built by a team of human programmers 5 years earlier. Without updates, without maintenance, the system slowly failed. One by one the signs grew clearer. Everything humans had built. Everything humans had maintained. Everything humans had kept running quietly in the background, began to break. Across star systems, aliens whispered the same question. Why is everything failing now? For decades, humans had worked behind the scenes. They repaired machines. They organized trade routes. They negotiated peace. They calmed rival factions. They helped planets recover after wars. Humans did so much quietly that no one realized how important they were. But now, with humans gone, the galaxy finally understood. On the trade world Calaris, markets collapsed within days. Human traders had always created balance, moving goods where they were needed most. Now, food prices shot up, metals vanished from shelves and medicine became rare. Merchants panicked. We need the human trade networks, one shouted. We didn't appreciate them, another cried. Why did we force them to leave? Whispered a third. On the mining moon of Dravox, a drilling machine exploded. Human safety protocols had kept such machines stable, but without human engineers to monitor the system, the machine overheated. A thick cloud of smoke rose into the sky. The smell of burning metal filled the air. Alien workers stared at the destroyed machine with trembling hands. This never happened when humans were here. Meanwhile, at the Galactic Council headquarters, chaos erupted. Reports poured in from every sector. System failure. Economic collapse. Political unrest. Trade disruption. Medical shortages. Security breaches. Council members argued for hours. Representative Joran slammed his fist on the table. We must fix this. Why is everything falling apart at once? Chancellor Varkos tried to stay calm, but even he looked nervous now. We simply need time to adapt. Humans were involved in many systems, but we are capable. He didn't finish. Because the chamber lights suddenly flickered. Then went dark. For a moment, the entire council chamber, the heart of galactic leadership, was without power. A heavy silence filled the room. The backup lights came on slowly, glowing dim red. The council members looked at each other with pale faces. The council's main power regulator was human-built. No one spoke. No one dared to. The truth was now too obvious. The galaxy was falling apart without humans. Commander Aeroleth Cross was one of the few who felt no surprise. He had warned the council many times. He knew humans were essential, not because of strength or weapons but because of something far more rare. Humans cared. They cared enough to fix things. To help strangers. To build friendships. To solve problems no one else wanted to touch. Cross stood at a viewing deck on Helios 9, watching drifting ships struggle to dock because of malfunctioning guidance systems. He felt a deep sadness inside his chest. We pushed away the only species that held us together, he whispered. His aide approached. Sir, should we call them back? Cross closed his eyes. Would they even listen now? While the rest of the galaxy panicked, Distant signals continued to travel through space, silent reminders of human presence. Old recordings. Automated messages. System alerts. They felt like echoes from ghosts. One such echo arrived on the world of Vena Prime. A malfunction alert for an atmospheric purifier. The purifier kept the air breathable. The alert said, "Human maintenance overdue." The aliens stared at the message in fear. Without maintenance, the purifier would fail within weeks. And no one alive knew how to repair it. Across thousands of star systems, the same realization spread. Humans were not the problem. They were the solution. But it was too late. Humans were already far beyond known space. Their ships traveled silently into the uncharted darkness. They left the galaxy to survive alone. Inside the human flagship Aurora's Hope, Captain Lyra Havel watched status reports from their scanners, reports showing system failures across Council space. Her second officer approached. "Captain, the galaxy is struggling." Lyra nodded slowly. "They will learn." "Will we ever return?" he asked. Lyra looked into the endless dark. "Only when they understand what they lost." Behind them, the human fleet continued drifting quietly through the stars. No anger. No violence. No revenge. Just silence. A silence powerful enough to shake the entire galaxy. For weeks, the galaxy tried to recover from the sudden absence of humans, but nothing improved. Systems kept failing. Governments kept panicking. Trade routes kept collapsing. Every species tried to fix things on their own, but it felt like trying to stop a storm with bare hands. Then something new appeared. A signal. Weak at first, like a whisper across the stars. It showed up on a small listening post near the edge of Council space. At first, the alien operators thought it was noise, just another broken system. But when they played it again, they froze. It was not noise. It was a voice. A human voice. The operator's three eyes widened as he listened again. The message repeated, soft and calm but carrying a deep sadness. "Maintain peace. Protect each other. Do not fight. Humanity is gone, but our lessons remain." The station chief rushed into the room. "Where is this coming from?" The operator shook his head. "Unknown. It appears and disappears. It may be an automated human beacon." They sent the recording to the Galactic Council. Within hours, the entire galaxy was talking about it. Some believed it was a warning. Some believed it was a goodbye. Some believed humans were still watching them. But the truth was stranger. The signal didn't just contain a message. It contained memories. When researchers slowed the recording, they discovered faint images hidden in the data. Snapshots of moments where humans helped the galaxy. Rebuilding destroyed towns, comforting children during evacuations, standing between fighting armies, repairing systems no one else understood. It was like a quiet message from the past. "We were here for you. Even when you blamed us. Even when you pushed us away." Many species cried when they saw the images. Even Chancellor Varkos, who had led the anti-human movement, watched the hologram in silence. His heart felt heavier than ever before. "Were we wrong?" he whispered to himself. But the sadness soon turned into fear. Because the signal kept growing. Every day, it repeated louder and reached farther across the galaxy. More images appeared, some clear, some blurry, all showing humans doing good things. It was no angry attack. It was a quiet truth. And the truth made the galaxy uncomfortable. Some planets called emergency meetings. Others held public gatherings. A few species demanded the council apologize to humans. And many simply felt shame. Meanwhile, strange events began happening near the source of the signal. On the quiet moon of Varan 8, a patrol ship detected a faint energy echo. The echo pulsed like a heartbeat, slow, steady, mysterious. When they scanned deeper, they found something even stranger. A human-made satellite. But it was not a normal satellite. It was broadcasting memories. The patrol captain stared at the floating device. Did humans leave this behind? His navigator shook her head. "No. The satellite is new. It wasn't here before." The captain frowned. "Then that means—" "Yes," she whispered. "Humans placed it after they left." Back at the Galactic Council chamber, panic and confusion filled the air. Representatives argued loudly. Why are they sending signals? Are they threatening us? Is this revenge? Are they coming back? Commander Aeroleth Cross stood up, his voice calm but firm. Humans are not attacking us. They are showing us the truth. This signal is a mirror. It reflects who they were, and who we became without them. Many members fell silent. Cross continued, "We pushed them out without listening. Now their silence is louder than any war." For once, the council had no answer. Outside the council, on everyday planets, ordinary aliens felt the impact even more deeply. In schools, children watched the human memory holograms and asked simple questions. Why did humans leave? Will they come back? Were they really dangerous? Teachers had no answers. In hospitals, doctors wished for human-designed machines that once saved so many lives. In factories, workers struggled to operate equipment humans had built. In diplomatic halls, ambassadors remembered how humans used to calm heated arguments. The galaxy missed them. But no one said it out loud. One night, the signal changed again. A new message appeared, longer, clearer, more emotional. This time, the human voice sounded tired, like someone carrying a heavy burden. You chose a galaxy without us. We respected your choice. We left peacefully. But your future is falling apart. Not because we are special, but because we cared enough to hold you together. The voice paused. We still care. Even from far away. Millions listened to the message. Some cried. Some trembled. Some felt guilt so heavy they could not sleep. And deep in the void, far beyond known space, inside the human flagship Aurora's Hope, Captain Lyra Havel watched the Council's reaction on a distant scan. Her second officer asked quietly, Captain, should we send more signals? Lyra looked at the dark stars outside her window. No, she said. One echo is enough. The rest, they must understand on their own. Behind her, the human fleet continued its silent journey through the unexplored dark. Humans were not attacking the galaxy. They were teaching it. And the galaxy, for the first time in centuries, was listening. The human signal, the echo, spread across the galaxy for many weeks. And with every passing day, more planets fell deeper into trouble. Machines broke down. Trade stopped. Old rivalries returned. Even the bravest species felt fear in their hearts. The galaxy had learned one painful truth. Life without humans was harder than anyone expected. So, eventually, someone asked the question everyone else was too afraid to speak. Where did the humans go? That question changed everything. At first, only small groups tried to search. Scientists, engineers, merchant guilds, people who had worked closely with humans. They sent small scout ships toward the last known direction of the human fleet. But the direction led nowhere. No human colonies. No human signals. No human footprints. Just endless, silent space. Soon larger groups joined the search. Some species sent entire fleets. Others sent their best explorers. Even planets that once hated humans now desperately wanted to find them. Not to punish them. Not to control them. But to ask for help. Chancellor Varkos, once the loudest anti-human voice, now spoke with trembling words. We must locate the humans. We must apologize. Without them we are collapsing. Many council members agreed. But Commander Araleth Cross shook his head. Apologies are not enough, he said. Humans trusted us. We betrayed that trust. They will not return easily. Still the search began. The empty trail. The first major expedition was led by Captain Xeron, a highly respected officer from the Varnese Alliance. His fleet of 10 ships followed the faint energy trail left behind by the human engines. For the first few days things went smoothly. Space was quiet. The trail was easy to follow. But then on the 5th day the trail simply vanished. Like it never existed. Xeron stood over the navigation table. Where did they go? He demanded. The navigator shook her head. Captain, this is impossible. Trails don't just disappear. Xeron stared into the dark void ahead of them. Humans did this on purpose, he whispered. They don't want to be found. The fleet searched the area for days but found nothing, only old debris and the cold silence of deep space. The first discovery. 1 month later, another scout group found something unusual on the planet Harnisk 4. The planet was empty, completely abandoned. But on a mountain ridge they found a small metal device glowing faintly. A human beacon. The scout leader approached it carefully. Is this another message? He asked. A hologram activated, showing a simple sentence. Do not follow us. The words were calm, but they carried a deep warning. The scout team looked at each other nervously. What does this mean? Someone asked. The leader sighed. It means the humans don't want to be chased. But we cannot stop. We need them. He sent the message to the council. The galaxy reacted with shock. Some said humans were hiding because they feared another attack. Some said humans were preparing for something bigger. Some said humans were done with the galaxy forever. No one knew the truth. The dangerous zone. The next major clue came from an exploration group near a dangerous region of space known as the Veil. The veil was a huge cloud of dark energy and ion storms. Most ships avoided it. But the latest scans showed something strange, a faint human engine signature inside the storm. The exploration leader, Admiral Sinar, stared at the readings. Are they hiding inside the veil? His second-in-command swallowed hard. If they are, sir, we cannot follow. No ship can survive inside. Sinar tightened his jaw. Humans can. Everyone fell silent. Was it possible? Did humans advance so fast already? Had they changed their technology? The galaxy had no answers. But the message was clear. Humans were going somewhere no other species dared to go. A new fear. Across council space, citizens started whispering new theories. What if humans found something out there? What if they are building a new empire? What if they return stronger? What if they never return? Some species feared the idea of powerful humans returning. Others hoped for it. Meanwhile, on the frontier world of Taurix 7, an elderly alien engineer walked through an abandoned human workshop. Dust covered the tools. The smell of old metal filled the air. He touched a broken generator that humans had once maintained. It sparked weakly, failing to start. The engineer sighed. We took them for granted, he said softly. Now look at us. Human clues. The search continued for months. Scouts found a deserted human observation post. A discarded piece of a human ship hull. Old messages urging the galaxy to stay peaceful. More beacons saying the same thing. Do not follow us. You are not ready for where we are going. These words scared everyone. What did humans discover? What were they preparing for? What was out there in the deep dark? Commander Cross studied the clues carefully. This is not fear, he said. Humans are not running away. They are transforming. The council chamber fell silent. Because Cross was right. Humans had left quietly. But they were not disappearing. They were evolving. And the galaxy, desperate and trembling, knew one truth. They needed to find humanity before humanity became something beyond understanding. The galaxy searched for humans for many months, but found nothing solid. Only warnings, echoes, and abandoned signs that whispered, "Do not follow us." Still, the galaxy kept trying. Machines continued to fail. Trade continued to collapse. Alliances continued to weaken. The weight of chaos grew so heavy that even the strongest species began to feel helpless. Then, without warning, everything changed. One night, on the quiet border world of Rethalon 2, the early sky split open with a flash of white light. The alien guards rushed outside, thinking it was a meteor. But what they saw made their hearts freeze. A human ship. But not like any human ship they had seen before. It was sleek, dark, almost alive, glowing with flowing blue lines. The engines made no sound. The ship hovered above the ground like a silent specter. The guards stared in disbelief. Humans came back, one whispered. A door opened. From the glowing ramp stepped 3 humans, clothed in advanced suits that shimmered like stars. Their eyes held a strange calmness, a deep strength, as if they had seen things no one else in the galaxy had ever seen. The youngest guard fell to his knees. Please, help us. Everything is breaking. We need you. The leading human, Admiral Lyra Havel herself, stepped forward. Her voice was steady, calm, powerful. We did not return to punish you, she said. We returned because the galaxy cannot survive without unity. The guards bowed their heads, trembling. We were wrong. The council was wrong. We pushed you away. Lyra closed her eyes for a moment. We know. Her tone was not angry. Not cold. It was something else, something larger. Forgiving, but distant. News spreads like wildfire. Within hours, the entire galaxy heard the same news. Humans have returned. Council worlds were thrown into confusion. Some celebrated. Some panicked. Some cried with relief. At the Galactic Council chamber, Chancellor Varkos nearly collapsed when he heard the report. They're back, he whispered. His voice shook with guilt. What do they want? Commander Aeroleth Cross stood tall. They want us to understand. They want us to change. Another council member shouted, Are they here for revenge? Cross shook his head. No. If they wanted revenge, they would not have left peacefully. Humans don't seek destruction. They seek purpose. The chamber fell silent. For the first time in centuries, the council had no control over the future. The human meeting. After 2 days, the humans finally agreed to meet the council. A special chamber was prepared, shining with gold walls and crystal light. Dozens of representatives gathered nervously. Then the doors opened. Admiral Lyra Havel entered with her team. They walked slowly, calmly, but their presence filled the room with an energy no one could explain. Even Varkos, the once loud anti-human leader, stood with his head lowered. Lyra sat down, her eyes scanning the chamber. She spoke softly. You banished us because you feared us. But you feared the wrong thing. The council leaned closer. You feared human emotion, she continued. You feared our passion, our curiosity, our stubbornness. But those traits were the reason the galaxy survived so many times. A deep silence filled the room. Lyra continued, you thought we were dangerous. But the danger came when we left. Varkos stepped forward shakily. We were wrong. We acted out of fear. We pushed you away. The galaxy needs you. We need you. Lyra looked at him for a long moment. We know, she said softly. But we did not return because you asked. We returned because we chose to. Her words echoed like thunder. The change in humans. The council noticed something different about the humans, something powerful. They behaved with deep confidence. They moved with quiet strength. Their technology seemed far beyond anything the galaxy had. A council scientist whispered to his colleague, they have evolved. They're stronger, smarter, more united. Another whispered, what did they find out there? Lyra heard their whispers and she answered without looking at them. We explored places no one has dared to enter. We saw things the galaxy has never seen. And we learned that fear destroys, but unity builds. Her words carried a weight that made every heart shake. A simple question. Finally, Lyra stood and faced the entire council. Her voice grew stronger. We are here to ask one question. The chamber held its breath. Will you stand with us this time, or against us? No threats. No armies. No anger. Just one question. A question that held the future of the galaxy inside it. Cross stepped forward first. He bowed deeply. I will stand with humanity. One by one, representatives followed, bowing, placing their hands on their hearts, showing respect to the species they once feared. Even Varkos bowed. Tears filled his eyes. We were blind, he whispered. Forgive us. Lyra did not smile, but her expression softened. Forgiveness is given, she said. But trust must be rebuilt. The new beginning. The galaxy finally understood. Humans were not returning as victims. Humans were not returning as conquerors. Humans were returning as leaders. As guides. As protectors. As legends. The chamber filled with light as the humans stood tall, stronger, wiser, and ready for a future no one could imagine. The galaxy held its breath, knowing one truth. Humanity's return was not the end. It was the beginning of something far greater. For the first time in many years, the galaxy breathed without fear. Humanity had returned, calm, strong, and changed in ways no one yet understood. Their presence felt heavy but comforting, like a storm that protected instead of destroyed. Still, the galaxy had one question. What will the humans do now? The answer came slowly. Not with war. Not with demands. Not with pride. But with quiet steps. A new council is formed. Weeks passed after the humans' return. Every world sent leaders to the central station, this time willingly, not by pressure. The Galactic Council was reformed but with a new rule. Humans would guide, not rule. Admiral Lyra Havel was offered full command of the council. She refused. Instead she said, the galaxy must lead itself. We are here only to help the wounded stand again. Her humility shocked everyone. Most species believed humans wanted revenge. But humans only wanted healing. It was the first great lesson of their return. Mystery of human evolution. Human scientists, engineers, and explorers began sharing small pieces of their new knowledge. They repaired failing machines across many star systems. They restarted old energy networks. They helped rebuild ruined stations. But everyone noticed something strange. Human tech was no longer based on metals and wires alone. It flowed like living light. It hummed like music. It moved like it understood. Alien scientists begged for answers. Commander Aaron Sol, one of Lyra's closest officers, finally explained. In the dark regions beyond the known galaxy, we met something old. Something vast. It taught us how to grow, not through war but through wisdom. What was it? The aliens asked. Aaron smiled softly. A place. The truth. A mirror that showed us who we could become. The galaxy understood little. But one thing was clear. Humans had evolved, not physically but spiritually and intellectually. They had become a species that carried knowledge like fire and peace like shadow. The test of trust. Even though the galaxy accepted the humans again, fear did not vanish overnight. Some planets wondered, will humans stay peaceful? Will they leave us again? Will they judge us? Lyra understood these worries. So she decided to perform the greatest act of trust ever made by humans. She ordered the destruction of the weapon the galaxy feared most. The human quantum array, a device that could shut down entire armadas with a single pulse. The aliens watched in shock as the machine was melted into harmless dust. This is our promise, Lyra said. We do not lead with fear. The gesture spread incredible relief across the stars. Trust began to grow. Slowly. Carefully. But it grew. A rising darkness. But peace never comes without a price. As unity returned, sensors picked up strange signals from the far reaches of the void, regions even humans had feared. At first they thought the readings were errors. Then one day, a deep voice echoed across the galaxy. Not heard by ears but felt by every living mind. You opened the gate. Stations around the galaxy shook. Ships lost control. Stars flickered. Everyone panicked, except the humans. Lyra Havel stepped into the command room, calm as stone. It has come, she whispered. The one we knew would follow us. Aliens stared at her in horror. You knew something was coming? You brought danger? Did you lead them here? Lyra raised a hand for silence. This threat did not follow us. It followed the power the galaxy created together. Unity draws both light and darkness. She looked at the stars outside the window. And now darkness has noticed. The final human gift. The new council gathered in fear. What do we do? Is this the end? Can humans protect us? Lyra looked at them all, every species, every world, every life depending on her answer. Then she said something that changed the galaxy forever. Humans will not fight this battle alone. This time we fight together. She placed a small, glowing sphere in the center of the council table. It pulsed with warm light. This is our last gift, she said. A bridge that connects every species, every mind, every soul. When danger arrives we will stand as one, combined, united, unbreakable. The sphere rose and began to glow brighter, sending a soft wave across the chamber. Everyone felt it, a gentle connection, a harmony, a shared courage. For the first time in history the entire galaxy felt like a single heart. The legends begin. As the shadows and the void grew stronger, humans and aliens prepared together. Ships were upgraded. Defenses were strengthened. Training programs were shared. A united fleet formed, a shining wall of hope across the stars. The final message from Admiral Lyra Havel spread across all worlds. We were banished once. We left quietly. But our absence spoke loudly. Now we return not as exiles, but as guardians, as allies, as legends. The galaxy stood ready. Not in fear, not in chaos, but in unity. Humanity had returned, and this time they were not alone. And so, the real story of the galaxy finally began. The Vorga Dominion moved through space like a dark storm. Their fleet was huge, thousands of sharp metal ships, each one ready for war. For many years, no enemy had survived them. Every species that fought them had been crushed. Every fleet that stood in their way had turned into burning metal dust. Inside the command ship, Admiral Krell stood tall on the bridge. His skin was dark gray, and his eyes glowed like cold blue fire. He loved war. He loved winning. And he loved the fear other species felt when they heard the name Vorga. Krell looked out at the stars and smiled. Another victory, he said. Another weak species destroyed. His officers bowed their heads. None dared to question him. None dared to say that maybe the Dominion was growing too confident, or too arrogant. Krell turned to his navigation officer. Our next target. Show it. A hologram flashed in the air. A small star system. A few planets. Nothing special. But Krell frowned. Why this system? He asked. The officer swallowed nervously. Reports say, humans live there. The bridge fell silent. Krell raised an eyebrow. Humans? Those small biological creatures? The ones who barely survived their planet wars. Yes, Admiral, the officer said. Not advanced. Not dangerous. Krell laughed loudly, cruel, sharp, echoing across the bridge. Not dangerous? Then why warn me? He stepped closer. Humans are nothing. We will crush them like all others. The crew nodded, but something felt strange in the air. A thin tension. A strange energy. Some officers felt it but stayed quiet. The fleet jumped into hyperspace. When they arrived near the human star system, the stars looked calm. Too calm. No enemy ships. No defenses. Nothing. Strange, one officer whispered. Another checked the scanners. No movement. No communication. No resistance. Humans must be weak. Krell smirked. Prepare the fleet. Move forward. If humans are here, we will destroy them and take the planet. The bridge lights dimmed. The war drums of the Vorga echoed through the ship, a tradition before battle. But today something felt different. The drums sounded nervous, or maybe it was just the officers who felt that way. As the fleet moved deeper into the system, the radar suddenly beeped. A single red dot appeared on the screen. The room grew silent. "Admiral," the tactical officer said, voice shaking slightly. "We have a contact." Krell crossed his arms. "How big?" The officer zoomed in. "It is a ship." Krell rolled his eyes. "Of course it is a ship. But what type?" The officer zoomed further. The whole bridge stared. Their breath stopped. "It is human," the officer whispered. Silence. Not a fleet. Not an army. Not a defense force. Just one ship. Only one. Krell frowned. "A single human ship blocks the path of the Vorga Dominion? What foolishness is this?" The ship on the screen was large but not massive. Its design was smooth, white and black metal, glowing with blue lights. Strange symbols were etched across its hull, symbols the Vorga could not translate. But the strangest part, the ship did not move. It did not speak. It simply stood there, directly in the path of the Vorga war armada. Like it was waiting. Krell felt a small chill, something he had never felt before. "Send a warning," he ordered. The comm officer opened a channel. "This is the Vorga Dominion. Identify yourself or you will be destroyed." No answer. Krell's eyes narrowed. "Send again." The officer repeated the message. Still no answer. The human ship floated calmly, as if it did not care who the Vorga were. As if it did not fear them. As if it had no reason to fear them. Krell growled. "Maybe humans are more stupid than I thought." The navigation officer whispered, "Admiral, maybe it is a trap?" Krell glared. "We are the Vorga. No one traps us." But deep inside he felt something cold creep into his chest. The tactical officer suddenly shouted, "Admiral, the human ship is powering something." Weapons? Shields? Engines? No one knew. But the blue light around the ship brightened, and brightened, and brightened. Then, all alarms on the Vorga ships began to scream. "Energy spike. Unknown type." The bridge shook. "Impossible. We are too far to be attacked," one officer shouted. But the human ship still did not move. It simply glowed. And then, bzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzzz missiles. No lasers. Just pure, controlled power. The Vorga fleet shuddered. Engines flickered. Shields collapsed. Weapons went offline. Across the entire armada, every ship stopped moving. Dead. Silent. Frozen. Like time itself had halted. The officers screamed. What is happening? We are losing control. Admiral, all systems are down. This is impossible. Krell stood frozen. A single human ship had stopped the strongest fleet in the galaxy. Without even firing a weapon. Krell's voice trembled for the first time in his life. What are we facing? On the screen, the human ship activated a communication channel. A single message appeared. 5 words. Cold. Direct. Terrifying. Turn back. This is your warning. Krell's blood ran cold. And for the first time ever, the Vorga Dominion felt fear. The bridge of the Vorga flagship was filled with alarms. Red lights flashed across every screen. Officers shouted over each other, desperately trying to understand what had just happened. A single human warship had shut down an entire alien fleet. But the ship itself still floated calmly, like nothing unusual had happened. Admiral Krell clenched his teeth. His hands shook, though he hid them behind his back. He refused to accept what he was seeing. This is a malfunction, he growled. It must be. The tactical officer shook his head quickly. No, Admiral. All ships report the same thing. Total shutdown. We cannot move. We cannot fire. We cannot even turn the lights back to full power. Krell stared at the officer as if the answer was impossible. The Vorga Dominion had conquered dozens of star systems. Their technology was unmatched. Their warships were feared across the galaxy. Yet one human ship had stopped them like a parent stopping a child. Another officer called out. Admiral, the message, it came from the human ship. Krell hissed. I heard it. A warning. Humans believe they can warn us. His pride burned hotter than any sun. Open communication again, Krell ordered. The communication officer swallowed. Sir, their channel is locked. We can receive messages, but we cannot send them. Another shockwave hit the bridge. What? Impossible. The human ship had control of communication channels too? Krell felt something he never felt before in his long warrior life. A slow, cold fear slipping into his veins. Meanwhile, inside the strange human ship, no one could see who was inside. Its windows were dark. Its design was unlike any Vorga had ever scanned. Instead of sharp metal plating, the hull was smooth, almost alive. Lines of blue energy pulsed like veins across it. One Vorga officer stared at the screen. Admiral, this ship is not built like anything we have ever scanned before. What do you mean? It is grown, not constructed. The material is not metal. It is some kind of living alloy. Krell turned sharply. Living alloy? Explain. We do not know how it works. Our scanners cannot read inside. The energy source is ancient and extremely powerful. Krell's heart pounded. Ancient? Powerful? Humans were not ancient. Humans were a young species. Humans were supposed to be weak. Primitive. How could they have created something older than the Vorga Empire itself? Another officer added. Admiral, the power level inside the ship is growing. Slowly, but steadily. Krell shouted, weapons. Bring weapons online. Another officer cried out. They will not turn on. The system is frozen. Krell slammed his fist on the console. How long until engines return? Unknown, Admiral. Minutes, hours, maybe never. The Vorga crew looked at each other in fear. For the first time, the strongest predators in the galaxy felt like prey. The human ship sent another message. 4 simple words. Leave human space now. The bridge fell silent. Krell tried to calm himself. This is a bluff, he said, forcing his voice to stay steady. They cannot destroy us. They simply used a trick. But the crew no longer believed him. One officer whispered softly, hoping Krell wouldn't hear. A trick cannot stop 1,000 warships. Another added. No species has this power, except maybe. Krell's head whipped around. Except maybe what? Say it. The officer closed his eyes. Except maybe a species that hid their true strength. The bridge grew quiet again. Hidden strength. A species pretending to be weak. No one had considered this. Humans were known for small colonies, small ships, small weapons. Nothing impressive. But maybe they had been hiding something far more terrifying. Another officer's voice shook. Admiral, we have a problem. Krell turned. What now? We detect multiple beacons activating across the system. Beacons? What type? Human beacons, the officer whispered. And they are powering up. Krell stared. You mean, more ships like that are coming? No, Admiral. These beacons are old. Very old. Predating Vorga records. They are scanning us. The bridge fell into pure silence. Humans had left ancient technology across the system? Technology the Vorga never detected? Krell's throat felt dry. How could humans have this? The science officer spoke quietly. Admiral, maybe humans were not always weak. Maybe humans were powerful long ago, and we never knew. Every officer froze. Suddenly the galaxy felt much bigger. Much darker. Much more dangerous. A single human ship had ended their advance. What if humans had more? What if this was only the beginning? The human ship finally moved. Not forward. Not backward. Just slightly, like adjusting its position. But Krell felt like the universe cracked when it moved. Every screen flickered. Every officer tensed. The ship lowered its front cannons toward the Vorga flagship. Krell shouted. Raise shields. But no shields responded. Fire weapons. No weapons activated. The Vorga fleet was a giant metal statue floating helplessly in space. And the human ship. The human ship was the only thing alive. Krell's voice trembled. What does humanity want? A final message appeared on the screen. Short. Cold. Unmistakably human. You attacked the wrong species. And then the human ship powered up. Its energy rising like a star being born. The Vorga Dominion had crushed every enemy before. But today, they finally met someone stronger. The human warship hung in space like a silent giant, glowing with a calm blue light. But for the Vorga Dominion, that calm light felt more terrifying than any weapon they had ever seen. Inside the Vorga flagship, Admiral Krell paced across the bridge, each step louder than the last. His anger boiled, but fear twisted deep in his chest. He would never admit it, but every officer on the bridge could see it. Krell stopped suddenly. Prepare all fighters, he ordered. I don't care if our capital ships are frozen. Launch the small crafts manually. The hangar crew struggled, but after several tense seconds, rows of smaller Vorga strike fighters shot out from the hangar. Dozens of them. Fast, deadly, agile. The Vorga used them to destroy enemy fleets like insects. Krell smirked. Let us see if the humans can stop everything. But the moment the fighters approached the human ship, something strange happened. The blue glow around the human vessel pulsed once. Just a soft wave. No weapons. No missiles. No explosions. Just a pulse. Every Vorga fighter stopped instantly. Frozen in space. Engines dead. Weapons dead. Lights dead. The crews inside the fighters screamed over the radio. Control is gone. I can't move. Something is inside the ship. It shut everything down. Admiral, help us. Krell's confident smirk vanished. What did they do? He whispered. The science officer stared at the scanners, his voice trembling. Admiral, the human ship is using energy manipulation. Not hacking. Not EMP, something else. Krell grabbed him by the collar. What else? We don't know, the officer cried. This technology is far beyond us. We cannot block it. We cannot copy it. We cannot even understand it. Krell shoved him aside. No enemy had ever caused this. No species had ever done this to the Vorga. Krell forced himself to breathe. He would not let fear control him. He would not lose. Fine, he snarled. If they want to play with tricks, we will answer with brute force. He turned to his crew. Arm the dark fusion cannon. The entire bridge froze. Admiral, that weapon is unstable, the tactical officer warned. It could destroy the fleet. Or even collapse space around us. Krell's eyes turned icy. We are the Vorga Dominion. We control the galaxy. Not humans. Admiral? That is an order. Reluctantly, the officer activated the cannon. The ship trembled. Lights dimmed. The core heated like a star ready to explode. The dark fusion cannon was illegal even in Vorga laws. Too destructive, too wild. But Krell didn't care. He wanted victory. He wanted control. He wanted the human ship gone. Target the human vessel, Krell ordered, voice cold. The screen locked onto it. The human ship remained perfectly still as if it didn't even care. Then a message arrived. Not a video. Not a voice. Just text. Simple. Come. Terrifying. Don't do this. Krell's jaw clenched. How dare they think they can command us? The cannon reached full power. The bridge vibrated violently. Fire. Krell screamed. But nothing happened. The cannon fizzled. Sparks flew across the bridge. Panels exploded. The lights died. Officers fell from their chairs. Smoke filled the air. The entire fleet shut down. Again. Krell stared at the dark screen in front of him. The humans disabled the cannon. Before we even fired, the science officer whispered, shocked beyond belief. Krell roared. How? The human ship sent another message. We don't want to destroy you. But you leave us no choice. Every officer felt the same cold truth. The human ship wasn't trying to kill the Vorga fleet. It was showing them mercy. Mercy? From a species they had always considered weak. A species they once hunted. A species they once mocked. Now those same humans had power the Vorga could not comprehend. Krell slammed his fist on the console. I refuse to surrender, he shouted. We will fight. He stopped mid-sentence. Because the human ship finally moved. Slowly. Gracefully. Silently. It turned directly toward the Vorga flagship. The glow around it intensified, bright, blinding, beautiful. Officers shielded their eyes. The science officer spoke in a quiet voice. Admiral, they are preparing something. I don't know what, but this might not be a weapon. What do you mean? Krell snarled. It feels like a response. A counter. Maybe a message for us. The human ship glided closer until it filled the entire viewing screen. It felt like a king standing before an army of ants. Then a deep, steady hum filled the space. Power gathered around the human ship like a storm of light. Blue waves spread across its hull like a heartbeat. Krell gripped the console to keep himself steady. What are they doing? He whispered. Nothing in the universe had prepared the Vorga Dominion for this moment. The human ship released a final transmission. A single line. You attacked the wrong species. And then, the ship unleashed a wave of power that the Vorga fleet had never seen in their entire history. A wave that would change everything. Forever. The wave of blue energy rolled out from the human warship like a silent tsunami. It didn't explode. It didn't destroy. It simply moved, calm and unstoppable. Every Vorga ship rocked as the energy passed through them, soft, gentle, almost peaceful, but more powerful than anything they had ever recorded. When the wave vanished, every system across the Vorga fleet rebooted by itself. Lights returned. Engines hummed. Weapons reactivated. But something was wrong. Terribly wrong. The Vorga officers looked at their screens with wide, confused eyes. "Admiral, our navigation logs are changing themselves." "What do you mean, changing?" Krell snapped. "I mean, they are being overwritten. By the humans." Another officer shouted. "Sir, our historical files. They're being replaced." Krell lunged to the main display. "What are they sending?" The bridge fell silent as the image formed. Videos, dates, wars. Moments in time the Vorga knew nothing about. The human ship wasn't attacking. It was showing them the past. A past that the galaxy had erased. A past the Vorga had never been told. The screen displayed a young human woman in a lab coat working with strange crystal-like devices. The Vorga officers stared. "Who is she?" someone whispered. A calm message appeared. "Dr. Leon Morgan, human scientist, 183 years ago." Another clip appeared. She stood in a massive research station orbiting an unfamiliar planet. Humans around her wore uniforms unfamiliar to the Vorga. Sleek, white, advanced. The Vorga science officer gasped. "Sir, this technology, this is far beyond anything in today's galaxy. Even beyond our empire." The video continued. Dr. Lien spoke to an unseen camera. "If the experiments succeed, humans will achieve the next step of evolution. Our ships will not travel through space. We will travel through reality itself." Krell felt ice crawl through his veins. No, this must be fake. But deep inside he knew it wasn't. The next clip showed a shining fleet of human ships unlike anything in the current age. Sleek shapes of silver, glowing with the same blue light as the warship now facing them. The same energy. The same hum. The same impossible technology. They had this power centuries ago, the tactical officer whispered. Another message appeared. "Humans once ruled the stars." The bridge exploded with voices. "That's impossible. They were primitive, everyone said so. History says humans only became spacefaring recently." Krell slammed his fist onto the console. "Who wrote that history?" he growled. The room fell silent. A final data file opened. A battlefield. Wreckage everywhere. Burning planets. Fallen fleets. Dead stars. Words appeared. "The War of Unmaking." Krell whispered. "I've never heard of that war." "No one has, sir," the officer said. "Not a single record of this exists in the galaxy." The video zoomed in on shadows, creatures made of void and darkness, swarming human ships like locusts. Dr. Lien's voice echoed. "We faced an enemy that consumed reality. A species that could not be reasoned with. A threat the galaxy could not survive." The Vorga watched in horror as the human ships fought with light that ripped holes in space, using power beyond science. Yet even with all that, the darkness grew. It devoured everything. The final clip made Krell stop breathing. Dr. Lien stood in a damaged lab, crying, blood on her uniform. "We are losing. If humanity falls, the galaxy falls." Explosion. Light. Silence. A message appeared. "To protect the galaxy, humans erased themselves." "What?" someone gasped. Another message followed. "They hid their own history. They sealed their own power. They allowed the galaxy to forget them, so the enemy would forget them too." Krell felt his legs weaken. They erased their own empire?" The science officer shook his head slowly. "Admiral, this is beyond heroism. They sacrificed everything. Their past, their pride, their future. Just so the galaxy could live." A final clip played. Humans leaving massive cities, abandoning advanced ships, returning to Earth to start simple lives again. Dr. Lien's last message appeared. "If one day a threat returns, humanity will awaken again." The screen went black. And then the human warship, the one facing the Vorga fleet, lit up slightly. A final message appeared. "We have awakened." The Vorga bridge was silent. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Even Krell's anger disappeared, replaced by a quiet fear he had never felt before. If humans once controlled this power, if humans erased themselves to save everyone, if humans were now awakening again, what did that mean for the galaxy? For the Vorga? For Krell? The tactical officer finally whispered, "Admiral, we attacked an ancient power. A power older and stronger than our entire empire." Krell slowly lifted his head. His eyes were dark, cold, determined. "If their history is true," he said softly, "then we are not fighting humans." He turned toward the glowing warship on the screen. "We are fighting the return of a forgotten empire." The human ship pulsed once, as if agreeing. The Vorga bridge remained frozen, every officer trapped between fear and disbelief. The glowing human warship drifted silently before them, like a guardian that had awakened after centuries of sleep. Admiral Krell's claws dug into the metal railing. He refused to show fear, but his mind was racing. Humans were not simple creatures. Not weak. Not new to space. They were an ancient power returning from the shadows. And Krell had attacked them. He swallowed hard. "Open communications," he ordered, trying to keep his voice firm. The comms officer tapped the console, but before he could speak, the screen flickered on by itself. The humans had opened the channel first. A figure appeared. Not a soldier. Not an admiral. But a calm, expressionless human woman dressed in a glowing silver uniform. Her voice was steady. "Vorga Dominion, stand down." Krell's jaw tightened. He wanted to appear strong, but something inside him whispered that arrogance might cost the entire fleet. Still, he forced himself to speak boldly. "We are the rulers of this part of space," he declared. "You cannot order us." The woman didn't blink. "We do not care who rules." Her voice carried no anger. No threat. Just truth. "We only care who endangers the galaxy." A wave of murmurs filled the Vorga bridge. Krell leaned forward. "What does that mean?" he demanded. The woman turned slightly as if listening to information from someone unseen. Then she faced him again. "Your empire is building weapons using unstable dark fusion." Krell felt his throat tighten. How did they know? "That technology," she continued, "was forbidden for a reason. Not by us, but by physics itself." Krell tried to keep his voice calm. "We use dark fusion to expand our borders. To secure our rule." The woman shook her head. "Dark fusion tears holes in reality. Small ones at first, then larger. It attracts the enemy we once fought." Krell felt a chill. "You mean the creatures from your records? The beings of darkness?" Her eyes hardened. "The Unmaking." Every Vorga officer felt the weight of the name. Like it was not just a word, but a memory. A memory they didn't have, yet somehow recognized. Krell exhaled sharply. "That threat died with your empire." The woman's expression didn't move. "No." A quiet beat of silence filled the bridge. "The threat went dormant. Because we erased ourselves. But your dark fusion experiments are waking it again." The Vorga officers stared at each other in terror. Krell's voice cracked. "You expect us to believe we are responsible for awakening some ancient monster?" The human responded instantly. "Yes." "Prove it." Krell shouted. She nodded. The screen shifted. Now the Vorga crew saw something horrifying. A distant star system. Dark clouds swirling around it. Space itself, bending unnaturally. Like reality was cracking open. The science officer gasped. "Admiral, that is Sector R-91. One of our testing zones." The human woman said. "You created a wound in space." The image zoomed closer. Something moved inside the swirling darkness. Large. Shadowy. Wrong. Krell stepped back without realizing it. What is that?" The human's tone remained calm. "A scout of the Unmaking. Small. Weak. But growing." Krell's breath shook. "A small one?" It already looked larger than a cruiser. We didn't know," Krell whispered. The human nodded. "We know. That is why we haven't destroyed you." Krell snapped his head up. "You can't destroy us. We have over 50 ships here." The woman's eyes glowed faintly blue. Not angry. Not proud. Just tired. "If we wanted you dead, you would already be dead." Every Vorga officer froze. No one dared speak. The human continued. "We came here not to conquer, but to warn." Krell closed his eyes. "So what do you want from us?" Silence. Then. "Stop your dark fusion projects. Destroy every unstable core. Shut down your deep research labs. Erase all data related to spatial tearing." Krell felt insulted. "You're asking us to cripple our empire." The woman answered. "We're asking you to save your people." Krell slammed his fist onto his console. "Why should we trust you?" he shouted. "You erased your own history. You hid your power. You vanished." Her expression softened slightly. Because we know what the unmaking can do. A new image appeared. A human planet. Burning. Silent. Ruined. A world the Vorga had never seen. This is what we lost when we failed. Her voice trembled for the first time. Not fear. Grief. And we will not let it happen again. The Vorga bridge went silent. Even Krell felt something tighten in his chest. For the first time he saw humanity not as monsters. Not as threats. But as survivors of something unimaginable. He swallowed hard. And if we refuse? The woman didn't answer immediately. When she finally spoke, her voice held infinite sadness. Then we will do what we must. The human ship pulsed with power, brighter than before. Krell understood the message clearly. The humans did not want war. But if forced, they would end one. He took a slow breath. We need time to decide. The woman nodded. You have 1 hour. The screen went dark. The Vorga fleet drifted in silence. And Admiral Krell realized something terrifying. The humans weren't threatening them. They were asking them to choose between survival and extinction. The human woman's final words echoed through the Vorga flagship long after the screen went dark. You have 1 hour. 1 hour to decide the fate of their empire. 1 hour to decide if they would obey or challenge an ancient power. Admiral Krell stood stiffly at the center of the bridge, his face frozen, his mind racing. Around him the air felt heavy. Officers whispered to each other in fear, confusion, and anger. Finally, Krell spoke. All senior officers. War room. Now. The officers hurried out, relief and terror mixed in their eyes. White medium star inside the war room. A circular space. Dim lights. A large holographic table glowing with maps of Vorga territories. Every seat was filled. Commanders. Scientists. Tactical officers. Political advisors. All stared at Krell. He stood straight, shoulders tense. You all saw the humans' message, he said quietly. They want us to shut down every dark fusion project. Immediately. Murmurs rose across the room. That will cripple our fleet. Our expansion will stop. Our firepower will drop by half. We will look weak. The Senate will never accept this. Krell slammed his fist onto the table. Silence. The room quieted instantly. Krell looked at his officers one by one. I know what this means. I know the consequences. But before we decide, we must look at the truth. He nodded at the science chief. Explain. The science chief swallowed, nervous. Our dark fusion tests did create something, Admiral. He pressed a button. A hologram appeared. The swirling dark cloud from the human video. But the Vorga version was worse. The scientists had recorded more data. Inside the cloud, multiple shapes were moving. Not one. Several. Growing. The science chief spoke in a trembling voice. These life forms, whatever they are, they feed on space energy. The more dark fusion we create, the stronger they become. Another officer whispered. Are we awakening a nightmare? A political advisor snapped. You are scientists, not fortune tellers. These could be natural anomalies. Humans could be lying. The science chief shook his head. No. The readings match everything the humans showed us. They weren't lying. Silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. Until General Vorik, the oldest warrior in the room, spoke. His voice was deep and slow. I have fought many enemies, he said. Rebels, pirates, kingdoms, nations. But never have I felt this. Krell looked at him. Felt what, General? Vorik leaned forward. Fear. The word hit the room like a shockwave. Fear of humans, he added. Not because of their weapons. Not because of their ship. He pointed at the hologram of the human vessel. But because they didn't want to kill us. He clenched his fist. A strong enemy destroys you. But a stronger enemy warns you. Everyone fell silent. Krell felt the weight of the statement. Humans were strong. Very strong. But they were not acting like conquerors. They were acting like guardians. Or worse, judges. White medium star Krell's dilemma. Krell dismissed the officers and remained alone in the war room. He stared at the star map, the glowing lines representing Vorga-controlled space. If he obeyed the humans, the Senate would call him weak. If he disobeyed, the humans might destroy the fleet. Or worse, they might allow the darkness to return. He clenched his jaw. This is not an easy choice, he muttered to himself. He remembered the human woman's eyes. Come, ancient. Warning. Not begging. Warning. He sat down, head in his hands. Why did they come back now? He didn't expect an answer. But the truth echoed in his mind. Because we woke something. He let out a long breath. For the first time in his life, Admiral Krell felt the weight of a decision that could decide the fate of a galaxy. White medium star, the last minutes. Back on the bridge, the countdown appeared on every screen. 18 minutes left. 17 minutes. 16 minutes. Officers stared at the timer like it was a bomb. Krell returned to the bridge and stood silently before his crew. "Prepare the fleet," he said. Everyone froze. "Prepare for what, sir?" the tactical officer whispered. Krell took a long, slow breath. "We are not cowards." His voice was steady. "But we are not fools." All eyes locked on him. "We will respond to the humans." Pause. "But not a surrender. Not a challenge. Something in between." Krell raised his voice. "Open a channel." The crew obeyed instantly. A bright blue circle appeared on the main screen. The humans were ready. White medium star, the message. The same human woman appeared. "Come." "Still." "Waiting." Krell kept his back straight, his dignity intact. "Human vessel," he began slowly. "The Vorga Dominion has made its decision." The entire bridge held its breath. Krell continued. "We do not trust you fully." The woman showed no reaction. "But we have seen enough to believe that your warning is real." Her eyes softened slightly. Krell took another breath. "So this is our choice. We will shut down all dark fusion projects. Immediately. We will destroy the unstable cores. We will stop all research on spatial tearing." The bridge filled with whispers. A decision that would reshape their empire. But Krell wasn't done. "However," he said firmly, "we want something in return." This surprised even his officers. The human woman raised a brow. "What do you want?" Krell stepped closer to the screen. "We want the truth." He pointed at the ancient videos. "All of it. Your erased history. Your lost empire. Your war against the darkness. And what is coming." The human did something no one expected. She smiled. Not with joy. With relief. Her voice was gentle when she replied. "Then your people may survive." The human woman's soft smile lingered on the screen for a moment, calm, almost relieved. But the Vorga officers felt something else in that smile. Power. Memory. Responsibility. Admiral Krell's heart pounded in his chest. He had just promised to shut down the strongest weapon the Vorga had ever built, and now he demanded the truth from a species that had nearly erased itself from existence. The human woman nodded slowly. "Very well." Her image faded from the screen. Then the lights dimmed. The entire viewing wall of the Vorga flagship slowly transformed into a window showing stars, history, and a truth that no Vorga had ever seen or heard. White medium star, the origin of the human empire. A vast hologram filled the bridge. Not a video. Not a message. A memory. A memory from the ancient human empire. Stars shifted into patterns. Constellations rearranged. Galaxies turned slowly like wheels. A voice, calm, old, wise, filled the ship. "Before your empire was born, we were here." The Vorga officers leaned forward. Dozens of massive human star cities appeared. Floating megastructures larger than planets. Ships glowing with blue light. Humans walked peacefully among species the Vorga had never seen. Dr. Lien's voice echoed through the memory. "We wanted no throne. We wanted no empire. We wanted to protect life itself." The Vorga science officer whispered in fear. They were guardians. White medium star, the rise of the unmaking. The stars twisted again. Now the Vorga saw the nightmare. Huge dark storms moving like living things. Black shapes climbing out of cracks in space. Continents swallowed whole. Solar systems turning to dust. A monstrous shadow opened a mouth made of nothing. The Vorga crew felt their skin crawl. Krell whispered. "The unmaking." The human narrator spoke. They were not invaders. They were not creatures. They were errors of existence. The bridge grew colder. Errors of existence. Monsters that reality wanted gone. But couldn't erase. The hologram shifted again. Human fleets fought the unmaking with blinding light. Every beam cracked space. Every explosion tore holes in reality. A terrible war. A war that no record in the galaxy mentioned. Until now. White medium star, humanity's sacrifice. The memory changed. A council of ancient humans stood around a dying star. Dr. Lien, younger in appearance, spoke to the council. "If we continue using this power, we will destroy everything we are trying to save." Another human council member asked. "Then what is our choice?" Lien whispered. "To disappear." The Vorga bridge went silent. Disappear? The memory continued. Humanity shut down their greatest ships, destroyed their star cities, scattered their advanced technology, erased every record of their true power. Then they returned to Earth, quietly, secretly, became simple again, primitive again, forgotten by design. One final line appeared. One day when the galaxy faces the same danger, humanity will awaken. Krell exhaled shakily. So this is the truth, he said. You hid yourselves to save everyone. The human woman reappeared. Yes. Her tone was gentle. And now, because of your dark fusion experiments, the danger returns sooner than expected. Krell swallowed. Can we stop it? The woman paused. Then she raised her hand. The hologram zoomed out. The galaxy appeared. Millions of stars shining like dust in a dark sea. Then circles of red appeared across many sectors. Krell's eyes widened. What are those? The woman answered quietly. Wounds. Space tearing. Cracks forming. Places where the unmaking is looking through. A cold silence filled the ship. But, the human added, something has changed. Krell leaned forward. What changed? The woman turned to face him fully. Her eyes glowed bright blue. We are not alone this time. White medium star the request. The Vorga officers watched her carefully. What are you asking from us? Krell said. The woman nodded. We will repair the wounds you created. And in return we ask your empire to help protect the galaxy from the darkness. Not under human rule. Not under Vorga rule. But together. Krell blinked. Together? Humans and Vorga? The woman nodded. Your fleet is strong. Your empire is disciplined. Your soldiers are brave. You could have been our enemy. Her eyes softened. But you can become our allies. Some officers gasped. Others whispered. Krell stood up straighter. You would work with us? After we attacked you? The woman smiled softly. Because you chose to listen. And because the galaxy will need every hand. Every ship. Every warrior. Krell tightened his claws. And if we agree, what happens next? The woman lifted her hand. Light spread across the screen. A symbol appeared. A star connected to another star. A unity of two empires. Then, she said, we begin the first alliance. Krell stared at the symbol. Then at his officers. Then at the human woman. He made his decision. Slowly, firmly he bowed his head. The Vorga Dominion will stand with you. The human woman bowed in return. Then the galaxy has hope again. White medium star final scene. The human ship moved slowly, gracefully, closer to the Vorga fleet. Its blue light expanded outward, gently repairing the wounds caused by dark fusion. The darkness retreated. The stars brightened. And for the first time in thousands of years, humanity stepped back into the galaxy. Not as conquerors. Not as rulers. But as protectors. And the Vorga Dominion stood by them. Side by side. Enemies no more.